1935, the Lions win the NFL championship. The Detroit Tigers take the World Series. The Red Wings bring home Lord Stanley's Cup. Joe Louis begins his rise to world domination. This transforms the Motor City into Detroit, City of Champions.
And we're putting it in the ground, and we're going to play a little golf.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
3 more episodes of golf.
Yeah, so it's 1935, Detroit City of Champions, just an amazing year, and we're deep into the Walter Hagen story.
And you are?
I'm Jamie Flanagan.
And I am Charles Avison. I got the little greeting today.
I was going to get to that.
I know you were, but you've introduced every show, so I figured I could jump in and steal your thunder.
No, that's good. That's
Okay,
good. Sometimes
segue.
I wander and I don't do that.
So do I. I do too sometimes.
But
I wander into different subjects.
There's 33 different champions, and we've done the big three. Ford, Chrysler, GM. No,
and Joe, and we did the.
So the Lion, Tigers, Red Wings, and Joe Louis, the big four. Really,
and Gar's really a big five because I mean, even though he doesn't really knows who he was, nobody today knows who he is, except for our listeners, of course, who are very well versed on Garwood at this point.
Yes. But we've done the big three, and there's 33 championships total. Golf now is Walter Hagen the only golf in the array?
Yes.
Or I didn't know if there was like a women's golf champion.
No, but we're going to talk about
amateur.
We're going to talk about a guy
something.
named Horton Smith today, who was like a guy named Horton Smith.
Horton, here's a who?
Kind of like that, except for his name is Horton Smith.
Horton Smith. All right, that's why I was going with the Horton.
Who is not anything to do with 1935 Detroit, but still is kind of has like some pretty cool Detroit connections. But, but in this point, there's just nobody. I mean, they're like, who else do you need? We got Hagen, who counts for like 10 golfers.
So I mean, completely. But so here's the thing: there's 33 champions, and in the book you wrote a trilogy of books chronicling the teams, the owners, the players, the coaches, the events that happened in and around 1935 that led to these 33 championships, and we're talking about them. And it's fun. We're talking about them, and as we're doing the YouTube videos, there's Facebook videos and the audio podcasts, and there's like been family members, and people attached to the story in some way that have found either one of the audio editions and then one of the video renditions, and have been contacting us. And we're going to do a show where we reach out to all those people and circle back and talk to everybody who's reached out. And we thank you. And so if you leave a comment, if you're somehow tied to, you're the granddaughter, great-granddaughter, second cousin twice removed, and you got a hat in your basement that belonged to somebody from 1935. We'd love to hear the story.
Especially since one of the things we want to do is like we're going to be coming back around doing like specific players in that. And so it'd be kind of just cool to recollections from family members that have insider information and stuff like that. It'd be cool.
So like I said, there's 33 championships to cover. And Charles, your book covers them all, and there's the horse race, Sukara the horse.
That's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
The Detroit Police Sharpshooters won a national championship. There's the checker championship, track and field weightlifting, all kinds of
just
stuff.
To make sure we emphasize there, we just said the checkers champion here.
Checkers, I did. Yeah. Yes, the world's checkers championship.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite ones because he was equally as good at chess and checkers. His name is Newell Banks.
Oh, okay.
And like, how do you make money off of being a chess and checkers champion?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he used to do blindfolded. He used to beat. He'd walk into a room blindfolded and beat. And he'd have the world record for most people that he beat blindfolded.
So he was pretty much a Queen's Gambit all on his own.
Yeah, totally.
Except he wasn't a teenage drunk.
No.
Okay.
And he was just walking. And like, we'll get to him, but it's awesome because like when the Tigers are in spring training, he's down there in the park playing checkers and chess with the. I mean, like there's such a these. It's not like these are all these. That's one of the. When I first was doing these books, I had so many people tell me like, you should do like to maximize the books. Like there's some people that are just Tiger fans. There's some people that are just Red Wings fans. You should do like 5 different books, and each book be like a different champion.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem is that what it would do is split these stories up into fragments, and it would actually allow people to pick and choose. Mm-hmm. When the thing about it is that it was this story is so interwoven with each other.
Yeah.
For me to split those apart would do the same thing that has been done over the course of the last 80 years, which is that whenever a historian wants to write about the Tigers, they write about the Tigers. That's all they write about there because they're writing to an audience of Tiger fans. And so why wouldn't you? Why? That's what every historian does for every city, for every sport.
Yeah.
But the thing about Detroit is that we are different. We are different. You cannot cover the story of the origins of Detroit sports, nor the true origins of these teams, without talking about their inner relationship with the others at this one, especially this 1 year.
Apparently, you can because there's a writer for one of the major papers right now, and another, I think it was a radio reporter, took him to task because he read his article. Because the radio people read newspaper articles, we still do that, and he was like. And he's like, to the anonymous, reporter for the Detroit paper that won't be named, the Detroit Tigers did not win their first championship in 1968.
Yeah, I didn't see it. What was that?
Oh, and I because I copied it, and I was like, and he goes, and he named one of the players, and it wasn't one of the top players on the 35 team, and he said so and so would be very disappointed in your report and your comment on that, and
maybe
I was
Bill
like,
Rogel or something. Maybe you meant he cited.
I forget who, but I was like, I go, yeah, and that's the exact reason Charles Avison. I tagged you in it.
Oh, did you?
Charles and I do the City of Champions podcast, and I tagged you on it, and the guy who like took him to task on that liked it, the comment.
Cool.
I was afraid because when you go tagging things on other people's timelines, because I tagged you in it, and then I mentioned our podcast. I didn't tag the City of Champions. I don't know if I tagged the Facebook page or not, but I tagged you in the post. And so, but I mentioned the podcast, and sometimes people are like, "Oh, why are you like advertising your crap on mine?" And I'm like, and I go, and that's why Charles and I do this
yes,
story.
And that's why I wrote the books. Okay, and here's the thing: is my specific rationale for writing the books was I wanted to lay the foundation of fact. I wanted to lay down fact, and the reason why is because there's so many facts, right? Yeah. There's so many facts. You're talking about 33 championships. You're talking about just hundreds of players, these massive numbers of stories. It's an incredible. I mean, we're on for God's sake, we're on episode 79 of a podcast, right? Talking about 1 year. Yeah. There are so many facts, and so the reason I wrote the books was to establish the foundation of facts. Okay, and everything is cited. I use original newspaper articles, the original writers. You can literally go to the microfilm lab and check the date and find the exact same thing. Yes, so you can go to these things and see for yourself. They are pure.
I used to love going into the microfiche.
Yeah, I was there for 2 years doing these books, right? Just getting the information for it.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is the reason I did that is to allow for that exact moment of what you're talking about,
right.
is which you can say with a definitive, with an authority on the subject, and say this happened.
Right.
And if you don't recognize that it happened, if you are not putting it out there, if you are disconnecting these stories as though like there's like, oh, that City of Champions was no big deal, or oh, these the
they
Red
just
Wings
don't know.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it allows anyone. It allows you, the listener at home. It allows anyone who hears about any of this. And this is not trying to sell a book. This is about all you have to do is point at the books and you say, this book is is the official reference of what happened in 1935. And you don't have to go study for yourself. You don't have to go and look at 100 different things. Yes. I laid the foundation of fact. That was the goal. Right. So that just saved time from anybody saying, oh, there wasn't 33 championships. There wasn't Joe Louis wasn't that big of a year.
But the first Tiger champion in 1968.
That too.
And it's a reporter for one of the major papers, and that's my problem. It's like people are like, I love the city, and I was on the radio for 25 years here, and I just over the pandemic got released from my position. I want to be back on the air because I love this city, and that's why I wanted to do this podcast.
Yeah,
because I love Detroit, and I think this story is an important story.
It's incredibly important
to tell.
And I'm not just saying that because this is what we do. I'm saying it like I got into it because it's important. And this is the thing for people to understand. When I was going to college, I didn't go to college to be a sports historian.
Right.
I thought I love sports. I used to watch sports. I watched every game. I used to read the newspapers every day. But I looked at sports as like a beer drinker's thing.
Sure.
It was no serious historian would go into sports history.
Right.
That's the way I viewed it. But when this story, when I was in Scotland, I was studying Crusader history, Roman history, I was studying serious subjects, right?
Yeah.
And his sports history didn't even cross my path.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So my entire thought was I was actually going to go and get my master's in the classics so that I could study Bronze Age history. That was my focus. But this story interrupted all that because I recognized that this is something that needed to be brought out. Mm-hmm. And if I didn't do it, if I saw this clear as day, that this is a massive story and a massive gap missing in the collective consciousness of Detroit, which I also care about. I also love. I love Michigan. I love Detroit.
Yes.
And this is a massive gap in our understanding of who we are and how we got here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And this thing needed to be done. And I thought to myself, if not me who sees it, when? Who?
So
and when?
Here's the thing, and that's why I'm trying to preserve. It's so much of media today, and the world's getting bigger and smaller at the same time. And you have hosts, and you have DJs, and you have reporters phoning it in from other cities or coming in from other cities and doing freelance work, and they're working, they're writing for 4 papers, they're writing for 2 Ohio papers and an Illinois paper, and then for a Detroit paper.
They are phoning
and
it in.
they don't understand the depth of what it is.
No.
That city's about, and they miss it, and it makes me nuts, and that's why I love doing this, and that's why I want to be back on the air in the city.
But here's
just
the
to
thing.
help preserve the
thing,
best
Jamie,
stuff of Detroit.
The independence. What I've noticed in the last, the rise of the internet, the rise of these podcasts, the rise of these shows, is what you're finding is you are finding that the traditional news media is trash. It's friggin' trash, okay? And I noticed that with the Detroit newspapers. When I first tried to bring the story out to the Detroit newspapers, the Free Press and News, from the very beginning, I've got zero. I've never had an article in the Detroit News or Free Press.
No,
you would think that I did have a book review in the very first year that I first came out with the book, but I have never been. I even wrote a reader submission article. This stuff never and I'm not trying to complain. What I'm saying is that what is it? It was the biggest shock of my life, right? It's like the way that I looked at this story when I put the first book out is it was like akin to an archaeologist who had been out doing some research dig and had discovered an item, had discovered something that was going to something was going to shed a major.
Ooh, look, a mastodon.
Was going to shed a you find it even a lost text that was a missing text or something that would fill in a missing gap of our understanding of history. An archaeologist finds an item, they study it, they clean it up, and then they analyze what it is, how it fits into the greater context, the things they know, the things they don't. They analyze it from all these different perspectives. And once they're done, they publish a report. And then they turn that report over to the big dog newspapers, media, whoever that are interested in sort of covering that topic, and then it's disseminated to the public. And I've always viewed the newspapers in the media as not just these these just companies. I've always viewed them as having a public responsibility to cover new discoveries or things that are of public interest to the public. And whether they support it or not, it's their job to bring it to the public from journalistic integrity or ethics, to present it to the public and to allow the public to make their decision based on the evidence at hand. That is what I viewed the newspapers at before I started. But once I got into this, I realized that is a fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
It is a friggin' fantasy.
Oh, they're vehicles for advertising.
There you go. And that's what I'm saying. And
that's why they were invented. They're
there
vehicles.
You go. Yeah.
I tell my students that they're vehicles for advertising.
And I even had somebody one time tell me that we don't write articles about books anymore. And then that same guy wrote an article about some other writer who was from a bigger newspaper who was a bigger name that was putting out some random book. Yeah. And I'm like, and only because you could tell the guy was a higher profile and all this other stuff. That's what I'm trying to say is, and then I usually question is like, how do I raise my profile when I can't get a break? I can't get any, but I'm done with it. I'm done with the lamenting of it. And the reason I'm even going in this direction is to say to you that, my friend, this is a better direction.
Yes. Because
we have the independence to say what we want, do what we want, and bring our stuff up organically. And we're backed by for lack of a better word, the righteousness of our cause.
Yes.
Okay? And this is what I'm saying. We have something that we have a story to tell, and we have a reason for telling it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, I don't care what they say or do anymore.
Sure.
They've lost all credibility to me. They cover their stories however the hell they want to cover the stories. They got their audience. Good for them. We got our audience.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only ones in Detroit talking about somebody that won championships in the recent, recent memory.
I know.
So you know what I mean. We got a story to tell, and we're telling it.
And that comes back to where I was headed with the people that are listening, and the family members or people that are connected to this story in some way. Please, please, please send us an email or leave a comment on the videos or leave a comment. We see those. We love those. We respond to them. We appreciate that. We appreciate you. Or if you're just listening, casually listening to an episode.
Anybody can leave a comment on this.
And we just appreciate you being there. But here's the thing. It's where are we going next? Because we hit the big four. Right, and then the big five with Gar, and then Walter was a big story I wanted to get into because I really like Walter.
Walter's amazing.
I was always enamored by Walter Hagen.
Yeah, but even more so now, my God.
Actually,
I'm even more so even now, even having done this, because we're able, even myself included, when I was doing the book, there's only a certain amount of time I could devote to Walter, you know? And so, but that's what's even cool now is that we've had this sort of long form. We can take our time. We can unravel. We can walk through there and show just how big these people were and why it was such a massive deal that they're Detroit and they're representing Detroit.
All that lightning struck in 1935.
It all hit.
Where are we going next, though? After Walter, and I want to put that to the people listening. Send us an email or leave a comment and just say, hey. Tag us in social media or something. And what story do you want to hear next? Which do you want to hear something from? Because it's nearly every sport is covered.
Like this, I have a direction that I want to take this show.
Well, I don't care where you want to go.
Too bad.
I want where the listeners.
Well, I don't care what you say either.
I want those guys.
Screw you. Screw them. I don't know what they want to hear. I got the framework of the story to tell my story. Right. No, but I will say
we take requests.
There you go.
We take requests.
There you go.
We do take requests.
If somebody feels strongly, if somebody has a question, if somebody has a certain subject of something that we've already covered,
they're like, "Oh my God, my great uncle was like this."
Yes,
and I want to hear that story.
We can dive into something that we've already covered.
We'll pull it up as soon as we can.
Exactly.
Let us know.
That too. That's what I'm saying. We can take.
That's what I'm saying.
We can have we take requests. Especially if there's.
I'm a DJ. I take requests.
Yes, and especially if there's subjects that people want to elaborate a little bit more on, we absolutely can do that. I get that.
I don't always play it next.
No, absolutely not.
But I do take requests.
And we absolutely will, especially if we get some audience engagement.
If you've ever been a patron at one of the bars that I DJ, I don't play it next.
And if we get a little audience engagement, we can start to renegotiate my hardline stance on me doing whatever the hell I want to do in here, right? So, what we will we get some audience engagement. Maybe we get some of these, I don't know, like the super chats coming through.
That was
requests.
That was a long and winding road to say thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. But no, seriously, thank you.
I can't wait. One day, Jamie, I promise you, man. One day we're gonna get a super chat.
And
even if our first super chat's like $1, I'm gonna be like,
it's me. You and my mom will be there.
Oh, yeah. One of these days, we're going to get ourselves a super chat, and then it's going to start the floodgates open.
But we take requests. So if you're connected to the story somehow, or if you're just, I'm just a fanatic about weightlifting, and there was a weightlifter champion.
We'll get to him.
Let us know that that's what you want to hear, and we'll pull that up sooner.
Well, maybe. Maybe we will. We'll take it under.
Leave it to the artist.
Hey,
all right.
No, let's I'm saying, like, hey, like we're talking, like we'll take requests.
Hey,
it's just like anything, though. You take requests. Where's our we got a little tip jar in there to $1, and if you want to see the show going in whatever direction you particularly want to take it in, right? So, but I'm saying we got weightlifters to cover. We got these different subjects to cover. If there's somebody's got a question on some stuff that we're talking about or have talked about like this,
I was telling my mom,
we take requests. We take the request and we consider the request. Yes. It doesn't mean we automatically honor the request.
No,
we run this show, Jamie.
We will. Don't worry, I'll make him do the
no,
stories.
You didn't make me
I
do
will.
anything.
I'll make him do the stories you want to hear. So that's. But yeah, I was telling my mom about the Garwood and the Miss America 9 and the gentleman who rebuilt that, and we talked all about him and his daughter. Listen to the story, and sadly, he just passed away.
Oh, he does own the. Oh,
Yeah.
it's at the Packard.
Yeah. So his brother, he owned the 9, and his brother owns the 10. But the daughter, Charles's daughter, messaged us and said, "Oh, it was so cool."
She
that
offered to let us take a ride in it.
You gave my dad props. She goes, "If you're ever near where we live, you're welcome to come take a ride."
We're
and
putting
I'm like,
it on the
that is
schedule.
so gonna happen.
That's the kind of request that we welcome and accept.
But even that, it was somebody I think connected to Charlie Gehringer. Just said, "Hey, it was so cool. You're telling these stories. My family, never hears about this. Thank you for telling the story." And that was so cool to get that little comment. And so, thank you for all the people. Or if you're just enjoying the story, again, leave a comment. Or if there's someplace you want to go, if you want to Mike, I'm the Detroit Police Sharpshooters. What? I want to be a cop when I grow up. Tell me that story.
But the other
we'll
thing
tell you that story.
But one other thing too.
We'll tell you that story.
Well, one of the things I want to point out too, real quick, is that one of the things that we have thus far done on this show is that we have done.
Besides, get to the point today.
We're getting to.
No, this is great. I'm having fun.
Yeah, we can just we have
right,
wild card days where we just talk or whatever. Anyways, one of the things that we have done is that we have done a long form history of the Detroit Lions. We have done a long-form history of the Detroit Red Wings, everything leading up to the 1935. We have done a long-form history on boxing and the rise in the entire history of Joe Louis.
Yes.
We have done a long-form history on speedboat racing and the rise of Garwood. And we're just, in a couple more episodes, wrapping up a long-form history of golf itself in Joe Louis. So what I'm trying to say is that what I'm trying to get at is that number one is that this show is, as much as we talk about the season itself, I think we've done a pretty good job for having a wide open audience of people that are interested in a history of these teams, leading up into the 1935 season. But I think what you were going to say next, to take the words right out of your mouth, is one of the things that we've already been talking about doing in the new year is a long form history of the Tigers, and I think that is going to be that's going to be fun
because that was our first. Those were our first episodes.
Yes.
And we're just getting, just figuring it out. Podcasts evolve and change.
Yeah.
This podcast has evolved and changed in the last 2 podcasts because it's become the Charles the Rant podcast.
Yeah, we can rant.
I'm messing with you.
I'm going to rant whether we like it or not.
At the end of the last one,
rant,
we got a regular viewer.
This is my place of refuge. I get to rant here as much as I want.
It's cool. A super cool, awesome friend of the show, Chris. At the end, he was like, "Oh my God, I love Charles when he gets on his rants."
Well, I'm glad we have somebody that appreciates.
At the end of it, I got you riled at the end of the last episode.
Yeah.
So if you didn't catch that, you want to go to.
I can get my blood up going. Well, we can get a good rant going here in this episode too.
Yes,
but we are saying to the listener now, like we're going to cover the rest of on the docket is
that was about the longest. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.
So what? It's our show. We can do whatever we want to do.
But no, I wanted to thank all the family members because there's been 8.
And I met a ton when I was on the road doing art shows all the time. I'm hoping that some of these people click on and listen to the show too.
Chimed in.
I got a few friends on Facebook and stuff that are relatives that I can reach out to as well. Yeah,
and so I just wanted to thank those people that have chimed in, and especially the relatives, people attached to the story. They've been very complimentary.
Absolutely.
That they appreciate us sharing, preserving these histories. And,
absolutely.
I'm glad.
You're welcome more.
And I'm glad to get to it. And we're going to do more. And if there's something specific that you want to hear. One of the sports or one of the championships.
But just for the listener and for the viewer, just to let you know about the upcoming schedule, a generalized version of what's coming next.
Tentatively.
Well, pretty much locked in stone.
I just show up and hang out.
We've already talked about this. This is not a new thing for you to hear.
Right.
We're going to wrap this Walter Hagen up in the next 3 shows. Mm-hmm. And then we have a huge special show coming up.
Yes.
In the first weekend of December.
We're going to go further back and deeper
if you are
with the
listening to this show right now and you've been following along in any capacity, or you're listening to this show a week from now or whatever it is, you are definitely going to want to tune in for our show on the weekend. It's Saturday, December 4th.
If you're going to watch live, yeah.
Yes, if you're going to watch live, it's Saturday, December 4th. They should watch live because they can write message in and we can talk
absolutely,
to them.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, on December 4th, we are going down to Portsmouth, Ohio. the city that in which the Lions came from, as our viewers of course know. And we're going down to Portsmouth, Ohio, and we're going to we're going to be welcomed in to do a podcast episode in a private bar that is owned by the grandson of the owner of the Portsmouth Spartans.
Calling it a sports bar is a massive understatement.
Massive understatement.
Because I mean, sports bar, you think, oh yeah, kind of sports stuff in there.
It's a Portsmouth Spartans history museum
It
bar.
is. It is. It's a museum.
They've got the original uniforms.
If you imagine,
Yes.
if you, a hybrid between a museum and a bar, which is one of my favorite things, to be able to have a cocktail and enjoy history. So
the decor of the bar.
That's why I loved Ireland. It was like all the old places.
Yes.
And we could have a beer in the basement. Shut up.
Yes.
You know, it's
and
like
they already have it set up for a podcast.
Yeah.
And the entire, it's like a speakeasy style bar, and they have the original Portsmouth Spartans jersey. They have the game tickets and programs from the Iron Man game. We're going down there for the 90th anniversary of the Iron Man game. Like they're the whole city's there. They're having a celebration for the Iron Man game.
And
Tom's going to be there.
really
if anybody
interesting
misses
thing-
Tom that hasn't
Yep.
seen Tom on the show in a while, he's going to be down there.
the interesting thing. Charles and I are going to act out the entire game.
You don't want to see that, bro. I played football. I played football for half my life, and I'm telling you, once I get down to the 3-point stance, it's not. There's no. I don't care if we're playing with a beer can or if we're playing 11-on-11 full tackle, no pads. Once I get down to that 3-point stance,
See,
bro, I'm wrecking
I
someone.
get down in a 3-point stance. I can't get back up.
Then you don't want to play
can't.
against
I
me
can't.
because I do not know how to turn it off.
There's that TV commercial
We were playing-
right now.
we were playing-
the uncle who takes Thanksgiving football way too seriously.
We played last. Me and my brother Cameron played against two of my cousins, and I was intense. It was intense to the max. It was intense to the max. Okay, like I was sitting there going, "You're not gonna call that." It's just like they're like, yeah, my cousins. I'm like Mr. Nice Cousin
Are
most
you
of the
bleeding?
time.
No, not a foul.
No, it was like it was like some kind of like 85 Chicago Bears defensively. They were like, it was getting kind of ugly. So. But anyways, it's a must-see show. The special edition show. We're going down to Portsmouth. Right. We're going to be in the speakeasy. We're taking a tour of the Portsmouth Stadium, which is still like they've just added. Tom helped donate a bunch of money towards getting this new scoreboard made up. They've got an interactive stadium tour. This is the actual stadium that the Spartans played in. It's still in like exactly mint condition. They have another stadium there. It's a baseball field called Branch Rickey Field, which they built in 1935. When the Portsmouth Spartans left to become the Lions, in 1935, the Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, built them a stadium in Portsmouth. And it was used for years. And I have dreams of actually bringing back a professional baseball team to that stadium. So that's what I'm saying. Like we're going to be taking a tour of that. It's gonna be I think an incredibly cool show, and it's worth our time to go down there, and I think it's gonna be worth anybody's time to listen to it.
Well, like I said,
that's the next big thing on our schedule.
Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and in our notes there's link trees, and the links to my personal website. Wearingfunny.com. You can get merch there. DetroitCityOfChampions.com.
Well, I'm not gonna tell them more of the schedule. We got more schedule stuff.
The shirts. I want to sell a T-shirt.
Okay, sell your shirt. Now I'm going back to the schedule.
Wearingfunny.com has T-shirts. Wearingfunny.com. Wearingfunny.com. Go buy a T-shirt. No, they're cool. They're awesome.
I ain't taking anything away from the shirt.
The blazon, the crest, the blazon on the shirt that I'm not wearing today.
It's a great shirt.
Is amazing.
I love it.
So
we're gonna be rocking them when we go down to Portsmouth too.
Yep.
But so anyways, so that's the rest of our New Year. After that, we do that Christmas special, the December special. We're probably gonna take a couple weeks off because I got a.
The holidays are crazy for your business.
Yeah, I'm in the mall and I sell books.
There's a reason they call it a mall.
Yeah, and I sell art and stuff, and so at these stores. So.
Happy freaking holidays.
Yeah, so the invite to come and talk to me any day, whenever, because I'm in the mall every day, that kind of goes out the window because you come in and be like, what do you want? Hey, I'm from the City of Champions Project.
Can you wrap this for me?
Hey,
do I look like
no,
one
they're
of
going to be like,
Santa's
hey,
elves?
you want to talk about the 1935 Red Wings?
And you'd be like, yeah, actually I do.
No, I'm going to be like, no. I'm going to be like,
I want to sell more stuff.
Go away. Are you here to buy something? Get out of here.
I got more coasters to sell. What are you doing?
No, but I'm just saying, like every show I invite people to come to the mall and talk to me. Come and talk to City of Champions.
holidays.
But
It's
the
like,
holidays
hey,
come, and there's really no talk.
We're out shopping for the holidays. Hey, that Charles
and I'm the guy
is
ringing
here.
people up.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm just the guy that's at the register.
Hey, I think
like
Charles is here. So, yeah, we should go talk to him.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're at the
this-
mall. Yeah, let's go talk to him.
But and the thing is about it is
And it's a zoo.
I'm actually like tongue in cheek joking, not lying. I'm
Yeah.
joking because the thing is that the problem is it's actually like an issue. Like I'll have lines of people coming up, and then I will have somebody that wants to buy a book or talk City of Champions, and I'm like. And I've been doing the mall thing so long, ringing people up. I'll just be ringing people up and still talking City of Champions with somebody while I'm like over here typing in the register. And you're like,
the
I almost
price on
feel
that
bad.
wasn't
Like,
1935.
yeah. But I've actually developed the skill.
The price
to
of
be able to
everything
ring.
today is $19.35.
Yeah,
It's $19.35.
But I'll still.
$19.35.
But I feel like I'm almost like this. Like I almost feel like I'm like I shouldn't be like sitting here selling. Focusing so much on 1935, or I'll be over here giving a. This is the greatest season in American sport history, and there's like 3 people waiting at the register to ring up, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. Da, 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 da. And then
I don't
like,
think you understand.
like this, so I do get distracted, but it's just not the best time to talk.
Yeah.
The best time to talk is like today when we did like $50 in sales today. Not the best time to talk is not when we're doing like 15,000 in a day.
People are saving up. The holiday
Yeah.
flood is going to come.
So just to finish up real quick, the schedule. So we have the last 2-3 episodes of Hagen coming up.
Tentatively.
We have 2-3. Yeah, so probably more like 2. And then we have and then the first week of December, we'll probably take a week off in the next 3 weeks to put a couple things in order.
Sure.
A week off.
Then we're taking your request.
Then we're going down to Portsmouth to go do this special in the first week of December.
Yes.
And
Then we're taking your
then we're
request.
taking it. Then we're going to be off for the rest of Christmas through the New Year. I'm trying to do a professional
I can't.
schedule here for these people.
I can't.
Then
It doesn't
you said
matter.
don't keep out of it. Well, I tell the schedule.
All right, go ahead.
And then so beginning in January, we're going to get right back to it, and we're going to go through the tentative schedule for this is to go through the rest of the teams, the rest of the 33 championships.
Okay.
Beginning with Eddie Tolan.
Oh.
We're going to begin with Eddie Tolan.
Who's Eddie Tolan?
This he's a sprinter. He's won the 1935 sprint championship in
All right.
Australia.
Oh.
Yes, and so we're going to begin with Eddie Tolan, and we're going to go through the rest of the champions, and then what we're probably going to do after that is, and Jamie and I've already talked about this, is doing a long form history of the Tigers, because when we first started out doing the Tigers, we ripped through the Tiger episodes in like 4 episodes, and we talked like 2 full years of the Tigers in like 4 episodes or something. I mean, it was an almost embarrassing short amount of time.
Yeah, wow.
But the thing about it is, I've done that before, like.
Yeah.
Like there's when these books like you get going, you're like kind of like you find your form, and you're like you have to actually go back and do it. So like, but I just think it's a cool opportunity to do a long form history of the Tigers, and I've just I'm just about, and I was telling Jamie this in the last episode after the last show, is that I've been incredibly generous person who I met many years ago. Who is going to donate to this project? It's scrapbook history of the Detroit Tigers from 1930 through 1937. And what it is I've already taken a look at these, and these things are one of the most valuable, like as far from a historical perspective, for somebody that's a junkie for the Detroit Tigers like I am for the history. These things are incredibly, the information is incredibly valuable, because what it is like this was from somebody from that was a diehard Tiger fan.
Right.
Between the years of 1930 and 1937,
And
who painstakingly clipped out every day's article. It wasn't just like, oh, this guy hit a home run today, he's my favorite player, I'm going to cut out an article. No, it was they recorded the history of the Tigers.
Hopefully we'll have those
for 7 years. And
By
I'm going to get. She already said I'd come pick him up whenever I have a chance. I got to get up to Saginaw.
Well, because I Clay said I do weddings and stuff. I think I have a wedding coming up in Saginaw.
Well, it might be very helpful for you to pick them up for me,
Yeah.
because I got to
Yeah,
get them. Because she says my only requirement is I have to get up there to get them. And
yeah,
so,
I'll go get them.
But anyways, what it is it's 7 years of Detroit Tiger history that is meticulously preserved. It's like every day's article.
Oh, that'll be fun
for 7 straight years.
You're gonna have time. You're gonna need time to.
Oh, absolutely.
Digest that.
Absolutely, but it'll be worth it because here's the thing: is that there's a writer named Fred Lieb. So Fred Lieb is the absolute authority on the late 1800s in early 1900s, anything to do with baseball, he is the absolute authority on all things, late 1800s, early 1900s. But where Fred Lieb starts to kind of lack is when he gets to the especially with the Detroit. I've read, Fred Lieb history books are amazing. If you ever want to read the history of baseball, the Fred Lieb collection is just literally the best sources out there. But anyways, with the Tigers history, where he kind of warp speeds through it is the 1930s. That's why I don't even really use him that much. That was what the kind of sadness is my book, is I only barely was able to reference him because he was just there just wasn't that much detail. He did more of like a macro view of the 1934 and 35 teams. But that's what I'm saying is that what this newspaper collection is going to allow us to do is use Fred Lieb for the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then we're going to be able to use this literal day-by-day chronicle from the to go through the 30s, 31, 32, 33, 35, 34, 35 are right in my wheelhouse, of course.
Yeah.
But the 30, 31, 32, 33, those are the dark ages. Those are the dark ages. You can't find anything on those unless you're going to sit in the microfilm lab for, dude, it took me 2 years to go through the 34, 35 Tigers in the microfilm lab. So the fact that I've got it's literally like a reference book that I can just flip through the pages and read the articles like it's just a book, versus sitting in a microfilm lab and you have to go through. You have to go through 30 pages to get to one more day's sports section.
If you're doing one or two articles, I love the romanticism of that and the tactile.
Yeah.
Doing and digging, and that's research.
But when you're
because I teach high school and I teach 12th grade, and I'm getting them ready for college and for what they're doing next. And kids are like, "Well, I'm not going to college. Why do I need to know how to do this?" I go, because if you're going to the military, you got to write reports. If you want to get promoted, if you want. You got to write reports, and you got to write it well. You can't just steal information. You have to show where you got your information from. This is important. If you open your own business, you're going to have to ask the city for a variance, and you're going to have to collect information and present it to the city. And you can't just steal information. You have to let people know where you're. And so I just tell them, because the world is at their fingertips. Yeah. The majority of it. So much of it is, but so much of it is still it's buried away.
The microfilm is indispensable. It's still indispensable. It's not online.
It's romantic. To me, there's a romanticism to it, to go in and do that research and get those reels in there and find it and search it and then print it and. It is.
But the thing about it is,
to do it for the size of a project that you did. Yeah, on this book,
it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years.
The romance would be over after about 2 months.
It becomes a day by day. It just becomes a literal. It becomes like you actually. It becomes like a literal job. You're there from the moment that the library opens, or as soon as you can get there from the library opening until the moment that the library closes, so you can maximize your time, and you're there every single day. You bring your lunch, you bring your, like in the Detroit library when I was there, when you're trying to print a page off the screen, you like it costs $0.25 for every page you print, right? So the worst thing is that the machines, you put $0.25. This is Detroit, okay? The library hasn't gotten any funding for some of this stuff in 30 years. So the machine there was you plunk $0.25 in and it spits it right out the bottom like a vending machine that doesn't accept your quarter.
Yeah. Oh my God!
So you have to learn how to spin the quarter into the machine so that it clicks, right? And then I got wise at a certain point where I just went to the librarian and I said, "Listen, I'm tired of going after getting rolls of quarters every day. So what I'm going to do is let me get the key for the machine, and I'm just going to turn the key, print all the pages, come to you at the end of the day, and pay you at the end of the day." And then I got to the point where they saw me so much every day, I just started keeping a ledger, and I was paying them at the end of the month. It was like I was paying a bill at the end of the month. They're like, I was in there every single day for 2 friggin' years, And so that's what I'm saying is, and that was just looking at the 34 to early 36. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So for a reference book that covers every single day, and I've already seen these, and they are incredible. From 1930 all the way through 37. There's some duplicate stuff, of course, with the 35, 36. But from 33 to 30, from 30 to 33, that's the dead years of the Tigers. That's the dark ages. Sure. And so, for me to and so it's just going to expedite our ability to just go through the history of the Tigers. We might call them the Dark Ages, but they were a formative time. They were. This is the 19th. This is what's cool is is 1930 to 33. This is when the farm system was being developed for the Detroit Tigers. This is where these, Beaumont, Texas. This is where, the Schoolboy Row and like half the Tigers on that team came out of Beaumont.
I'll make the trip and I'll go get those books.
That'd be awesome. You would save me a big trip.
No,
man.
I'll do it. I got some business up that way. So I'll definitely.
Would really help.
I got a wedding. I know I got a wedding up there soon.
Well, what I'm saying is, when I was talking to her on the phone, she's an incredibly generous lady, very, very generous.
Oh, that's
to get
amazing.
These. And so
that's why I want to, get over and
and the thing is, it's really her requirement for me taking them was that I had to use them for something. I'm like, that's not going to be a problem.
Have you listened to my podcast?
Yeah. so anyways, we're
we'll use it.
Yeah, we're going to use it. And I even told her we could, reuse it.
And then you could bequeath them to the Historical Society when you're done. When you're done.
No.
When you're pushing up daisies.
Stuff.
When you're daisies.
No.
Yeah.
I want to establish my own museum.
Sell them on eBay when you're going.
If I'm gonna send them to the historical things, I'm gonna make sure the people that are running. I'm like, this is the type of person I am, Jamie.
Yeah.
Is like I like the historical museum and all this stuff, and that might be a spot. I was thinking more about the Detroit Library where I kind of scoffed at it but it's like if I was gonna leave, like Ernie Harwell left his entire baseball card collection to the Detroit Public Library. Okay. That was a nice gesture, right? He had incredible cards.
And they sold it.
No, they stamped the back where the Detroit Public Library stamped for all the cards, right? Right? And so a bunch of them got stolen, and the only reason that they recognized, the only reason that the card dealer who was
because it said Detroit Public Library on the back of it. Good thing they stamped them.
Good thing they stamped the back with the same stamp they use for books, right? The Detroit Public Library stamp. So what I'm saying, this is the type of person I am, which is if I'm going to leave a collection of the magnitude which I've already been collecting and most likely will have accumulated by the time of my
you got to find the right. You got to find the right home.
Exactly. It's going to be going to somebody like this lady is doing with us. She's passing this on. When I talked to her on the phone the other day, she was interviewing me to make sure that these were going to the right home. You know what I mean? Like she knows what these things are. These are an incredible historical artifact. And she was saying the reason I'm calling you and making this effort is because I want them to go to somebody that's going to use them for something, take care of them, and make sure that they go, that in posterity they're going to go, live on through some other personage, So, but in either case, she just gave us the ability to do a really nice long-form history that nobody else is going to be able to do. I mean, people can use some Fred Lieb if they want, but I don't ever see anything of Fred Lieb on YouTube or anything. Nobody ever uses Fred Lieb for anything. Fred Lieb is if we are listening to the show and you are a baseball fan, if you are not reading Fred Lieb's early history of baseball, you are missing out because my favorite baseball era is the late 1800s. Baseball in the late 1800s was an absolutely fascinating game. How do you think baseball got a foothold and captured the fascination of the American public, if not for its origin, for its late 1800s and early 1900s? Yeah. This is the genesis of the game. So anyways, we're going to be using Fred Lieb for our early history of the Tigers, and then we're going to transition into these scrapbooks and do the sort of the dark ages of the Tigers. But what's going to be interesting is that this supposed dark ages of the Tigers is going to be, we're going to talk about the development of the Tigers farm system. Yeah. And that's what I think is the key to this, is going to be the most fascinating part of the dark age. It's not that the Tigers are getting crushed every year. It's going to be that we're going to sift through the lines from the 1930 to 33, and we're going to unpack the history of the Tigers farm system, which is that exact moment of when it's being built. And so then we're going to go into, of course, the 35 and 36, 34, 35 seasons and drift into 36. And we're going to explore in far more detail than we've already done, the 4 episodes we gave the Tigers. So that's going to be kind of our schedule for the next, I would say 7,500 episodes.
Yeah, right.
So that's where we're going with it.
But like I said, thanks for the comments. Your requests are next. In spite of what Charles
They'll be
says.
under advisement.
We're doing it.
They'll be under advisement.
I can't tell them what to talk about because I don't know.
You can. You're partners on the show, man.
But I don't know the story. The thing is,
but you know how to
you're telling me the story.
Yes.
So
you know how to turn the microphones on and off.
I do, yes.
You know how to turn the microphones on. You can cut me off at any time. You can cut me off or you can turn this thing on at any time.
Right now, I'm thinking maybe we should start recording.
Well, that would be helpful.
I'm kidding. We've been recording, but maybe we should take a pause for the cause, and we'll be right back.
Whatever. You're the one that turns the microphones on and off. You need to have more.
I know. We kind of went.
You need to have more like belief in what you bring to the table. I got some stories to tell, but I wouldn't be. I'd be talking into a brick wall right now, into some like loony bin. Like, hey man, have you ever heard of this? And they're like,
there are padded walls in here.
Well, they are, but I'm saying I would have
a
different location if you weren't able to turn the microphones on and off. So you don't sell yourself short. You are a critical member of this, plus the other thing too is if you weren't here, I'd just be like talking to a microphone. I wouldn't be able to. I feel like I'm having a conversation with you, and through your conversation with me, who I click with, are able to present this story to our multitudes of fans.
The multitudes
that are following us.
I do, but that's been the point of all of this. Is thanks for being here, thanks for following along. I thought this would just be like a 10. We were like 45 minutes in on this little rant. Today was like a rant day. I was like on a rant.
Why not?
In my classes.
This is our show. We can do whatever we want.
No, but at work today.
I'd like to talk.
Because like I said,
an
I
episode
teach
of talk
high school,
man.
And I was going on about, and again, telling the kids I was like, you need a proper works cited, and I'm going to walk you guys through how to do it. It's like crazy. The comma's got to be in the exact right spot, because college professors, some reason, got a sideways hair up their backside, and they care about that.
Totally.
And it's like, you think I'm kidding? we're going to watch this, and I'm talking it, and you're looking at me like this is the most painful thing you've ever heard. But I guarantee you, because they're seniors, you're going to be in school next year, and you're going to go, and you're like, oh, crap, where was that video Mr. Flanagan was showing me? Because I need to do this now, and I need to know how to do this, because otherwise, it might not be your first paper, because you're going to turn that in thinking, oh, they'll never mark me down for this. And then you're going to fail that paper.
They will literally fail you if you don't have the right citations.
And when you're doing your second paper, you're going to be, dang, I should have listened to Mr. Flanagan. And I'll be like, yeah, I know. I told you so.
For any of Jamie's students listening at home, they will fail you for improper citations and incorrect Chicago style. You better get used to that Chicago style now, because that's the only style they accept.
Is Chicago or APA or MLA? It depends on what school you're at and what school of education you're in. But so I tell you got to be. So I was on this major tangent about growing up in Detroit, because I grew up and that's the other. I have this affinity for it. I grew up in the city. I was born, raised in the city, when I was going to college, it was like I applied, and they're like, "No,
Where'd you go to college at?
You're not good enough." I applied at Oakland University, and they're like, "You're not good enough," and I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not good enough?" And they're like, "Go to a junior college for 2 years," and I lived in Detroit at the time, and Wayne County Community College wasn't as strong of the community colleges as Macomb or Oakland, and I was like, so I got to pay out of county tuition, and I was like, I'll go to Royal Oak. So I was like, I went to OCC because they had a radio station at one campus.
So you knew you wanted to be in radio even from the early days, huh?
I was just always enamored with
cool.
music and entertainment. Yeah, and
I never thought I was going to go on radio or anything like that. I just jumped in with you. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why you're a huge value to this, man.
And then the downtown Royal Oak had all the cool record stores, and Cinderella's Attic and Noir Leather and Off the Record and all those stores that are like long gone, but were like cool back in the day. So I was at Tangentville with my kids about all that, and now today it's like Tangentville with this. So what we're gonna do? Let
me tell you my favorite.
Yeah.
Let me tell you my favorite reference story, like the citation story from college, right?
And I told you, I was telling my kids,
it's a tangent.
I'm
We're
like,
going on
they
tangents.
will,
I don't care.
they will. I go, and there's kids at Oakland University that were expelled, for not
plagiarizing,
for not citing enough.
Yes, because
it was
you're plagiarizing somebody else's word.
They cited it, but they didn't cite it well enough, and they considered it plagiarism, and they got expelled.
Yes.
They got expelled expelled for academic integrity.
That's how it used to be. I don't know how much they I mean, I'm hoping
how intense that is today. And that story that
but
I
that's
know
how
of
it
is
was
probably
in our
about
college.
12 years old.
Every
for
once
me.
in a while, there was a kid that wasn't using proper citations, and they were getting busted for freaking plagiarism, man.
Yeah, and then either
because they would take an idea,
probation.
they would take an idea that they read, and they would infuse it into their paper without citing it. And the thing about it is, the professors, they have read those books 100 times. They're using them as a textbook for their class.
It's freaking nerdville,
and
man.
When you
they
put
know
it,
this
when
stuff.
you put that component in your paper and you don't cite it, they recognize that like it is a like a exclamation point with a red circle around it. They see it. They've read those books 100 times, and if you don't cite your information when you get it, they will nail you on it. And if it looks like you're trying to pass it off as your own work, that's when you're gone. They take you to you're done. So
we trying to give credit.
Is absolutely correct.
We've been trying to give credit where credit is due. Like the whole Walter Hagen thing has been like 95% of what we've been talking about is straight out of his book, The Hague.
And every time I read a quote, you'll notice that we'll
bringing
even
up the picture and
every time I even read a quote, I'll say again, this is by the Hague himself. You got to reference. You cannot be. You cannot even be too careful. That was beating. But my favorite citation story.
Yeah. All right, sorry.
So I was at Grand Rapids Community College. Okay, I went to Kalamazoo Valley Community College, Grand Rapids Community College, Western, University of Edinburgh, Scotland, and then back to Western, which I graduated my final year.
I want to go just take a class at Trinity College one summer just to have it on my transcript, just to do it. I'm like 56 years old.
Yeah.
I want to do it. Anyway, all right, go ahead.
So, Scotland was amazing.
You have Edinburgh on your transcript. I love that.
Yeah, well, if anybody goes to Edinburgh, my favorite thing whenever I walk to class, every time I got a chance, they have a thing called it's called, and you can probably find it on YouTube, it's called the Millennium Clock. Look it up on YouTube. It's one of the coolest things you will. I'm sorry, not the Millennium Clock. It's called the Doomsday Clock. I believe it's called the Doomsday Clock. And when the bell rings at a certain time of day,
everybody within 10 feet dies.
It's like this crazy. It's the Doomsday Clock, and it's this crazy contraption of a clock. It must have cost like $1 million to. It's a cuckoo clock.
Yeah.
But it's got it's like an entire world of things happening, and I used to literally when I was walking to school.
They got that up in Frankenmuth. They come out on the hour and they dance.
Yeah, but this is this crazy machine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's even got like Hitler and weird stuff on it. It's got all kinds of crazy stuff on it, right?
All right.
So anyway, it's worth taking. But I used to stop by and look at that, just watch that real. I mean, there's so many cool things in Edinburgh. But anyways, this is
your
from
citation story.
Yeah, this is when I was at
and this is going to round out this episode.
Is it? We're at that time.
It will, yeah.
Okay. Like Rapids Community College, and so anyways, we had this kid in my class who I ended up becoming friends with. Right, this kid looked exactly like Kid Rock. Like picture Kid Rock as a college kid, and that's who this kid was. Okay, and I became friends with him. We ended up hanging out at these parties, and he had this laugh he had, okay? And anybody my friends that remember this time in my life, he was hanging around with us. Yeah. And he had this laugh, and he had this laugh, and this was his laugh. Like, I'm going to try to impersonate it. It was incredible. It was the most incredible laugh I've ever heard. And he goes, like he had this cackle of a laugh, okay. And he only used it like for his own jokes. But anyways, so we're sitting in this history class. He was in this history class with me, and the teacher is diagramming for the millionth time that I was at. Every class I took in history in college, they have a section on make sure you cite this. These are your citations. Make sure you cite like this. For this particular class. And anyways, this kid was like Kid Rocky, long hair, drinker, smoking weed and stuff. We'd hang out. So anyways, the teacher, mocked up this citation on the blackboard, and the guy's name for the citation was George Dilby. Right? This Kid Rocky, he goes, dude, his name is Dewey. And he goes, like that, right? He broke out this laugh, and the whole class just starts dying. Like it wasn't really that funny. Like it was just an observational humor of the lowest degree. But it wasn't even about the fact that the name was Dewey. It was about this kid's laugh. Like he just broke it out. That was the first time I ever heard it. We're like, oh my God, this kid doesn't give a flying. He doesn't give a flying, dude. Like he owns his laugh, and it is the most craziest laugh I've ever heard. Well, he owns it, and he was laughing at his own observational humor. He just broke it out. He didn't care. So that's my little citation thing, man. That was a citation story.
So to sum it up, thank you for listening. If you'd like to request something,
request is the key word.
We'll try to pull it up quicker than we may have otherwise. Happy to take a request. Love the comments, whether you're related to the story or not. Please subscribe, and leave a comment. We truly appreciate it. It helps the show and boosts my ego like you would not believe.
Oh yeah, every like is massive. We're like, we got a like.
I'm huge now. So yes, so
we've been getting more likes though.
Oh yeah.
The more shows we do, and I was mentioning this to Jamie too before the show started. I watched the Mr. Rogers documentary. Mm-hmm. It's called it's on Netflix. It's really good if you haven't seen it. The it's Would You Be My Neighbor? That's on Netflix. Really good. And I was a huge Mr. Rogers fan growing up. Sure. Huge, yep. Right? Yeah, you were too, right?
Oh yeah.
Who wasn't? So, anyways, they mentioned in this thing. I look it up. They have Miss Rogers did 900 episodes.
Wow.
And it spans the 1950s through the 1990s. He was all the way up until he did a special episode for the 9/11. Yep. He did a little special broadcast, right? So 900 episodes of Mr. Rogers. Mm-hmm. Jamie, this is episode 79.
We're creeping up on success.
I know 900 is huge. We're a distance from 900, but 79.
Yeah,
we're almost at 10%.
Yeah.
Of Mr. Rogers, dude.
That
right there, my friends, my viewers, everybody that's watching this, we're almost at 10% of Mr. Rogers, right? We might have a fraction of the audience, but Mr. Rogers started somewhere too. He wasn't massive when he first got going.
Nope.
So what I'm saying is, it almost references a quote from there's a play like Shakespeare, like Henry V.
Mm-hmm.
We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. We were all when we're on our 900th episode.
That's it.
You who are watching us now, you'll be able to reference back to, from the early days that you were here with us, from the earliest days when we were we're on Mr. Rogers' track.
Remember the tangent episode?
We've had a few
good
tangents.
Stuff.
We got a few tangent episodes. We can do whatever we want. It's our show.
I know.
But at the same, I don't think we're uninteresting. I think we bring a little bit to the table, and we're not when we distract from the notes. But what I'm saying is we few, we happy few, we band of brothers. We'll all remember, say that we were talking about Mr. Rogers' numbers back in episode 79. That might be. We've got the content. The City of Champions season. We have the content to roll out 900.
That's it.
And if you're all willing to to subscribe, like, share,
stick with us, we'll get there.
Yeah, help us grow this channel. We may get to 900, and we'll be able to raise our glass or do something or other for episode 100, 200, all the way up to 900. We're coming in with canes and talking in front of Congress about how we could have affected Detroit and all this.
All right, subscribe, leave a comment. We'll be back for more, and we'll definitely get back to Walter Hagen in the next episode.
We'll get to Walter
and a lot more great stuff.
He ain't going nowhere. We got Walter. We got the notes ready. We're episode 80
Check
is
out
coming your way.
All the links in the description. Subscribe, leave a comment. cityofchampions.com. We'll see you next time.